So, hi everyone, welcome to another Zoom meeting, another podcast episode. If you're listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube, you can find out more about this. These are meetings, our online community, paid private mentoring with myself if it interests you. On the website, it's www.acimwithkeith.com. So, a very happy Columbus Day weekend to everyone in the good old US of A, and a very happy Thanksgiving weekend to all of you a little more northerly in Canada. Um, so let's get on with today's meeting. Thank you so much to 117 participants that have joined us nonetheless, despite all the holidays. Um, let's see what quotes we're going to look at today. So I want to start with this one, which is from the introduction to part one of the workbook. The purpose of the workbook is to train your mind in a systematic way to a different perception of everyone and everything in the world. The exercises are planned to help you generalize the lessons so that you will understand that each of them is equally applicable to everyone and everything you see. Transfer of training in true perception does not proceed as does transfer of the training of the world. If true perception has been achieved in connection with any person, situation, or event, total transfer to everyone and everything is certain. On the other hand, one exception held apart from true perception makes its accomplishments anywhere impossible. So this is what I wanted to talk about today. Transfer of training. So there are two places of learning in A Course in Miracles. The first is the workbook lesson. And as you've just heard, it is a way to systematically train your mind to a different perception, not the perception you have had up until now, different. A different perception of everyone and everything in the world. Now, that's one of those important sentences in A Course in Miracles that we completely forget and go off in all the wrong directions. And then we continue to see everyone and everything exactly the way we've always seen them and go, how do I do A Course in Miracles? Well, you can't. You have to shift your perception. You can't hold on to the way since birth that you've been seeing everyone and seeing everything in the world. That won't do. The workbook is training you to see everyone and everything completely differently than you have done up until this point in time, period. So until we have had that learning, we're not done with the workbook. The second area of learning in the course then is with every miracle. So the workbook lessons and every miracle is a way to shift the way you are perceiving, to shift the way you are seeing everything and everyone, and by doing so, to shift the way you are perceiving yourself. And as you touch home to the truth of what you are, it is the truth of what everyone is with you. So the two places of learning, training that this is going on is with every miracle When you're in egoic consciousness, seeing everyone and everything the way you've always seen them, okay, and suffering arises, and you choose the miracle. And the only route to a miracle is total forgiveness, allowing all things to be exactly as they are. Or it tells us only forgiveness offers miracles. Forgiveness leads to miracles. Miracles lead to the holy instant. And enough holy instants, and you're in the real world. That's your 4 phases. Until there is the realization of the real world, there's going to be constant need for miracles facilitated by forgiveness, where you shift your perception of the world. In doing so, you shift your perception of what you are. In coming home to the truth of what you are that cannot judge, pure awareness, you now know this is actually the truth of everything and everyone in the world. So when we talk about a transfer of learning, this can very easily be conflated with doing, with behavior, with effects, with outcomes. It has nothing to do with that whatsoever. Nothing. Doing, behavior, that has nothing to do with you for reasons we're going to see. The transfer of learning is ultimately that what you are learning with each miracle, what you come home to the holy instant, that eventually you live there as that. That's the transfer of learning. Until then, you're going to have to deal with specific situations where suffering arises and use forgiveness to get to the miracle and forgiveness to fall back into the holy instant where you know what everyone is. It's what you are. So the transfer of learning is you do that with everything and everyone. And again, we're told in this quote, one exception, one thing that you exclude from this, from true perception, makes the accomplishment anywhere impossible. That has nothing to do with learning. Your only responsibility is to know what you are. You cannot know what you are until you see the world and your brothers without judgment. By allowing all things to be exactly as they are, by dropping judgment, you come home to the truth of what you are that can't judge. And this is what everyone is with you. That's your shared identity. So each and every time you're perceiving the way you have all your life, you need forgiveness to get to the miracle and change the way you are perceiving everything and everyone. Or a workbook lesson. You have to change the way you're perceiving everything and everyone. And this goes for everything. You must remember who you are by not judging the world or your brothers. You come home to the truth, and this identity is shared. It's what everyone is with you already. You were just deluded by believing the ego's judgment, none of which are true. Now, again, this shouldn't be conflated with behavior. Behavior has nothing to do with you. It takes care of itself. It's automatic. If you are identifying with the ego's judgment and misperceiving yourself and misperceiving everything and everyone in the world, what you do is a foregone conclusion. It's a foregone conclusion. It will be automatic. What you think you do will be a foregone conclusion. It will be automatic. If you drop judgment and literally change your mind, the one that you're identifying with, your behavior is a foregone conclusion. It's a foregone conclusion. What I'm saying is there is neither free will nor destiny, because that would apply to dream figures. That would apply to bodies. That would apply to imaginary egos, imaginary separate selves. They don't exist. So there is no free will or destiny because there is nothing for those labels to attach to. So the Course says that consciousness, which thinks it's separate from knowledge or the pure awareness that's God, it thinks it has separated. And it wants to become mindless, to get away from a God it's imagining that's after it because of the sin of separateness. And so consciousness makes up a world and bodies and storylines out of itself with no reality other than itself and known only by itself. Now, wrong-mindedness is when consciousness misperceives itself as the objects it has made. That's wrong-mindedness. I'm a body. I'm a thinker of these thoughts. I'm a doer. That's wrong-mindedness. It is when consciousness, thinking itself separate from God, now misidentifies with the objects it has made out of itself, with no reality other than itself, happening in itself, known only by itself. It misidentifies with objects. Body, thoughts, feelings, stories, memories, circumstances, situations. It misidentifies. It forgets its consciousness just as much as it's forgotten its knowledge. So the way home to God is for consciousness to awaken to itself, which is right-mindedness. It is not a body, thoughts, feelings, stories, memories. It is not something that is a doer in the dream or a thinker in the dream. It is consciousness. And when that much is accomplished, consciousness itself can fall away. And all that's left is knowledge. So this is one of the places where you're going to see A Course in Miracles criticized. People are going to say that the Course somehow stopped short or that there's more to come. You know, that the Course hasn't dealt with doing in the world. And that there's a whole load of more information that's required. There's sequels required to A Course in Miracles. There's add-ons required to A Course in Miracles. because there's doing to be done. That's one of the criticisms you're going to see of A Course in Miracles. The other thing you'll see is people who invent doings that the Course doesn't deal with. And then they'll say, well, Kenneth Wapnick, he doesn't teach anything about the doing in the world. So that's a distortion. That's a misunderstanding. That's incomplete. He's missed something. Doing is none of your business. Doing happens, but there's no doer. Thinking happens all by itself in you, consciousness. Thinking happens all by itself. It leads to a deciding, which happens all by itself. There's no decider. And it leads to behavior automatically, but there's no doer. Everything is happening by itself. Your only power of choice is, what am I? That's it. That's your power of choice. Depending on what you decide you are, thinking, deciding, and doing happens all by itself, automatically. A foregone conclusion. A foregone conclusion. So this obsession with doing, this criticism of the Course because it doesn't deal with doing by some, and this criticism of the likes of Ken Wapnick, who taught the Course in its purest form with utmost integrity, being accused then of distortion because of this obsession with doing. Everything is happening by itself in the movie. Course in Miracles tells us, how else can you find joy in a joyless place except by realizing you are not there? You're not there. So who's the doer? Who's the doer? There's no doer. So the ego, I'm using this quote from someone I just can't think of his name at the moment. So when it comes to me, I will give him credit. The ego is the clown that comes on and takes a bow after the ballerina's performance. That's what the ego is. The clown that comes on and takes a bow after the ballerina's performance. Of course, tells us all things work together for good. There are no exceptions, except in the ego's opinion. So look around you. This is perfection. This is unconditional love exactly the way it is, except in the ego's opinion. All things work together for good. There are no individual doers. There are no selves that are guilty of what's being done. There are no selves that are holy because of their doings. All of that's delusion. All things are working together for good. Working together for good. You can't separate anything out from anything else. All things work together for good. As the Holy Spirit's using the whole of the ego's dream of death to facilitate awakening through forgiveness. Except in the ego's opinion. Everything is absolutely perfect except in the ego's opinion. What could you not accept if you but knew that everything that happens, all events, past, present, and to come, are gently planned by one whose only purpose is your good? There you go. So there's one self doing all of this. So what about the individuals then? What about the selves that think they're thinking, think they're deciding, think they're doing, think they're guilty of their past doings, traumatized by them, by their backstory, their origin story, or think they're holy about things they've done? What about those selves? They don't exist. They don't exist. What could you not accept if you but knew that all events, past, present, and to come, are gently planned by one whose only purpose is your good? By one. So that's why I wanted to talk today about this transfer of learning and this mistake of obsessing over behavior. Behavior takes care of itself. Your only job is to remember what you are through not judging your brother. When you remember what you are, that's what you and your brother are together. There's no separateness. And everything that comes from here is an expression of love. And it happens all by itself. Right-minded thoughts instead of wrong-minded thoughts, right-minded decisions instead of wrong-minded decisions, right-minded doings instead of wrong-minded doings, and it's all happening by itself. The ego is the one that will come in and take a bow. My thoughts, my decisions, the holy things I've done, or the unholy things I've done. This is the imaginary clown taking a bow for all things working together for good. So we'll deal with these themes in today's podcast. But again, I want you to again remember that each workbook lesson is designed to have you shift the perception you have of everyone and everything in the world through forgiveness, through letting all things be exactly as they are, to remember who you are and share that identity with everyone. And the miracle is the exact same thing. That's what it is. Now, the transfer of learning is that all the specifics you're applying this to, the neighbor that kicked the cat, the dog that went to the toilet on the rug, the loved one that died, partner that left you, the sickness in the body, all these specifics are practicing a completely different way of perceiving yourself in the world. So these are not, the miracles are not like first aid things you do for your ego when it's upset. That's not what this is about. When the upset arises, when you're egoically identified, inhabiting egoic consciousness through identification with thoughts, when the suffering comes, and it will always come, that's your prompt to return to a different perception of yourself and everyone else through forgiveness and the miracle and the holy instant. But this isn't so you just go back to being an ego and perceiving the world the way you've always seen it and just carry on. That's not what this is about. The transfer of learning is that you're practicing this in specific circumstances until it sticks, until you don't leave home anymore, until you don't get involved in judgment, until you no longer need the forgiveness, the miracle. Get home to the holy instant because the holy instant has become the real world. It's permanent. An irreversible decision against the ego has been made forever. That's what a transfer of learning is. It's got nothing to do with events or behavior. It is your perception of everything and everyone that you're practicing with the workbook lessons and with the miracle, and it will transfer to everything. It becomes permanent. So that's what that term means. One of the most beautiful expressions of this is one of the most beautiful lessons in the Course in Miracles, lesson 109. We ask for rest today and quietness, unshaken by the world's appearances. We ask for peace and stillness in the midst of all the turmoil born of clashing dreams. Now, again, this is something that our ego brushes straight past and goes, how do I change the appearances into appearances I like to be happy? How do I find rest? By moving the pieces around in the dream. How do I find peace and stillness? By stopping my brothers behaving the way they're behaving. We jump straight past these very direct, perfect pointings at the truth and stay with our old perceptions, trying to make the course work from the ego thought system, from the same old perceptions we've been suffering from forever. It's saying something very different. We ask for rest today and quietness, unshaken by the world's appearances. We're not asking for a rest that comes from the body having better circumstances. That's not rest. We're not asking for rest that comes from changing our brothers or fixing them or turning them into what we think we want. That's not rest. We don't want the rest today of the body being taken off the cross. That's not the rest we're asking for. That's the rest the ego seeks and never finds. No. We ask for rest today and quietness, unshaken by the world's appearance. That's the rest we want. A rest that needs nothing to change in this moment. That's the rest we want. That's here already. We ask for peace and stillness in the midst of all the turmoil born of clashing dreams. We're not asking for the rest when everyone agrees with us at a community level, at government level, at family level. We're not asking for a peace because everyone starts getting along again, because people forgive us, because people get better. That's not peace and stillness. No, we ask for peace and stillness in the midst of the turmoil born of clashing dreams. I want the peace that's here right now that nothing can touch and never ever will. That's the peace I want. We ask for safety and for happiness, although we seem to look on danger and on sorrow. We don't want safety and happiness because the body's circumstances change. That's not safety and happiness. That's seek and do not find. We want the safety and happiness where, although we seem to look on danger and on sorrow, the body on the cross, the impending death of the body's condition, the ending of other bodies in the dream. I want the peace, the quietness, the rest, the safety, and the happiness that's here in the midst of all of that, that none of it can touch. That's what I want. Everything else is illusion. It's seek and do not find. It's the ego's avoiding pain and seeking pleasure. That's all it is. It's still the dream. It's not peace. It's not quietness. It's not stillness. It's not. It's illusion. I want to know what cannot be touched by anything. It's the rest I want. So to continue, and we have the thought that will answer our asking with what we request. I rest in God. Bodies don't rest in God. The wild illusion mind, frantic and distraught with no reality whatsoever, doesn't rest in God. I can identify as a body and an insane voice talking to itself in my mind that pretends to be me. I can rest in that, or I can rest in God. This thought will bring you the rest and quiet, peace and stillness, and the safety and the happiness you seek. Not because the body's changing, not because the world is changing, not because the dream of death stops being a dream of death. No, the truth of God is here in the midst of the dream, untouched by it. This thought has the power to wake the sleeping truth in you, what you really are, whose vision sees beyond appearances to that same truth in everything and everyone there is. Here is the end of suffering for all the world, and everyone who ever came and yet will come to linger for a while. Here is the thought in which the Son of God is born again to recognize himself. This is not rocket science. In Lesson 8, we're told the one holy true thought we can hold about the past is it's not here. When you think you're thinking about the past and the future, your mind's really blank because it's not really thinking about anything. There are thoughts there. There's no thinker of them. And they don't mean anything. So, again, this is not rocket science. What are you right now in this moment without referencing the past or the future? And the Course calls thought the values from the past. That's what thought is. The values from the past. What are you in this moment if you don't reference past or future? What are you in this moment if you don't ask thoughts, the values from the past, for the answer? In this moment, what am I? What can I directly know as the truth of who I am in this moment without asking thoughts, without referencing the past or the future? And the answer is not a thought. It's pure unconditioned awareness. And it's shining in your mind right now, always. Because we talked about the one awareness that has made up a world of objects out of itself, with no reality other than itself, happening in itself, known only by itself, the only awareness that's here. Well, that's you. That's what you are. With mindlessness, what you are is temporarily veiled from itself by identification with a body and thoughts and feelings and stories and memories. Or there's a clown here taking a bow for the body and what it does, for the thoughts, for the decisions, for the doings. There's a clown here going, I, the separate self. I'm the guilty one, or I'm the holy one. That's the clown. Or as have we said in many previous podcasts, that's the penguin. What you are is that within which everything is happening, by which everything is known, in which everything is happening, that which is the only reality of everything you're looking at. That's the sleeping truth in you. And vision reveals is the truth of everything you're looking at. The substanceless substance of everything. That's what's true. Everything else, the world of self and other, guilty ones and innocent ones, is pure delusion. An assumption that there's 8 billion penguins in the world. Well, there's not. There is one awareness experiencing itself as all the apparent penguins without ever ceasing to be what it is. There are no guilty ones and innocent ones. There's only one self everywhere, appearing as everything and everyone. And you're it, except there's no you. There's just what is everything. That's the sleeping truth in you. But it's not even really sleeping. You're asleep to it because you're identifying with thoughts. But it's still what you are. I can become psychotic and think I'm an alien or a penguin. But it doesn't change the fact that what's here is a human being. Doesn't matter how psychotic I get. Doesn't matter what I think I am. I'm not that. Within the dream, I'm a human being. Not what my psychosis tells me I am. Okay, you are that within which everything is happening, by which it's known, by which everything is known, the only truth of everything and everyone. You are already that. That's true. When you identify with thoughts, you become psychotic and you think you are objects made out of you, that they are now your identity. And you look at other objects made out of you, their only reality is you, and you see them as other. It's delusion. There is no world. This is the central thought the course attempts to teach. There is the appearance of a world. There is you, awareness, appearing as a world. That's what's here. But the world is not real. The only reality it has is you, awareness. Everywhere you look, it's just the awareness that's you. Appearing as everything and everyone. That's what's true. Everything else is your own private world with shadow figures, penguins. That's why this quote is so beautiful. I rest in God. This thought has the power to wake the sleeping truth in you, whose vision sees beyond appearances to that same truth in everyone and everything there is. So, what are you when you're not accessing thoughts about past and future? What do you directly experience as the truth of who you are now in this moment without asking thought? So, thought can't be an answer. Only what you are can be an answer. Well, that is what everyone is with you. That's what's true. Everything else is the ego's thought world. This is what every workbook lesson is training us for, to shift how we perceive everything and everyone. And this is what every practicing of forgiveness to facilitate a miracle is for you to stop identifying with the ego's thought world and come home to the unchanging. And again, this isn't rocket science. All the crazy thoughts, the wild illusion, frantic and distraught, but without reality of any kind, the insane voice talking to itself in your mind, that's happening in perfect peace, perfect stillness. Thoughts of murderousness and jealousy and rage and hatred, they're all happening in perfect peace. They're happening in something. They're happening in perfect peace. They're happening in the awareness you are. They are made out of the awareness that you are. And their only reality is the awareness that you are. You already are what thoughts are happening in. You're not the wild illusion shouting in the foreground. You are the perfectly peaceful, awake awareness in the background. And the only problem you ever have is forgetting the background and jumping into the foreground, believing thoughts, identifying with them, thinking you're the clown that thinks thoughts, the clown that did the guilty things, the clown that did the holy things. No, those are all thoughts. You're the space in which all those thoughts are happening in. Already, 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 you are that in which everything is arising and dissolving now. And that is what everything and everyone is with you now. That's the real world. That's what's here. Unless you go in there and you start identifying with thoughts that no one is thinking. And now you're the clown. You think you're the clown that doesn't exist. That's thinking and deciding and doing. There's nobody there thinking, deciding, and doing. You are what thinking, deciding, and doing is appearing in, what it's made out of, what it's dissolving back into, what it's known by. That's what you are right now already. There is no thinker, decider, or doer. That's the movie. That's what's happening all by itself. There is no doer. That's why you're not guilty. Lesson 93. Why would you not be overjoyed to learn that all the evil you think you did was never done? Why was it never done? Hang on. Yesterday I went out and I kicked the neighbor's cat. Why was that? Why did that never happen? Why am I not guilty of that? Because there's no doer. Everything's happening all by itself. How else can you find joy in a joyless place except by realizing you're not there? You're not a character in the play. You're the stage. You're the screen, which is the only reality of the whole movie. What you are is the substanceless substance of everything and everyone. This is what the miracle is for. It's to stop identifying with objects, body, thoughts, feelings, stories. You're not fighting any of it. You're letting all things be exactly as they are because they're happening all by themselves. There is no you in control of anything. There is no you thinking, deciding, or doing anything. It's an illusion. The thinker of thoughts is just another thought. What you are is the space in which everything is arising and dissolving. In the beginning, we learn this in terms of thoughts, feelings, stories, memories. Are they my identity or am I what's aware of them? What, what you eventually realize, what's eventually realized, you are what everything is happening in, what everything is, what everything is known by, the whole world. It's what's true. Everything else is delusion. That's what every miracle is for. It's to stop identifying as a penguin, as a clown, as an imaginary separate self, and come home to what's here outside of thoughts. What is here prior to thoughts? What will be here when the last thought is done forever? What will be here? You will. So, what are you without a past or future? It's emptiness. But it's not emptiness like an empty box, it's full of itself. It is pure awareness, unqualified by thoughts. And it is what everything and everyone is right now. It is the self that is all. And it's what's true. And everything else is in your imagination. The clown you think you are. The clown you think. The other clowns you think are out there. The whole thing's in your imagination. When you stop listening to thoughts, all that goes away. Can't be there without thoughts. So it's not true. Every miracle is how you stop identifying as a clown, the imaginary separate self, taking the bow for the good things and the bad things, the right things and the wrong things. No, there's no clown. There's no clown to be unholy, and there's no clown to be holy. There's no clown at all. Through him, you learn how to forgive the self you think you made and let it disappear. There's no clown. Thoughts, decisions, and actions happen all by themselves. They don't belong to a clown. When you think you are the clown, they have a particular flavor. Separate interests, grievances, guilt, competition. When you see there's no clown, suddenly they have a different flavor. Shared interests, forgiveness, sameness. And now, different thoughts, decisions, and actions will happen all by themselves without a clown doing them. There never was a clown, but the delusion's gone. Everything takes care of itself. There is no doer. This is why A Course in Miracles never tells you what to do in the world. It tells you how to change your mind. It tells you how to shift your perception of everything and everyone. And doing takes care of itself. There's nobody racking their brains. Oh my God, what's the right thing to do? No, that's ego nonsense. That's the imaginary clown. No. Source tells you how to change your mind. And thoughts, decisions, and actions happen all by themselves from there. That's it. Any obsession with doing and the holy things I do, and I'm a holy miracle worker out in the world, and look at the things I did because I listened to the Holy Spirit and I'm fabulous. That's the clown. That's the clown taking the bow. You're not a clown. You can think you are. Okay, let's take a few more quotes. So getting back to this idea of the miracles being a way of stepping outside the lie, outside the dream, temporarily, over and over and over and over again, because you go back to sleep until it's not necessary anymore. So this is from chapter 2, section 5, paragraph 3. However, as a correction, the miracle need not await the right-mindedness of the receiver. In fact, its purpose is to restore him to his right mind. He's not a clown. Those are thoughts. He is the space in which all thoughts arise and dissolve, utterly untouched by them. It is essential, however, that the miracle worker be in his right mind, however briefly, or he will be unable to re-establish right-mindedness in someone else. See, the miracle is a way of temporarily rescuing yourself from delusion, from thought identification, from thinking you're a clown, coming home to the full emptiness through forgiveness, through letting all things be exactly as they are. What will be here in this moment if I forgive? What will be here in this moment if I allow all things to be exactly as they are? Peaceful, awake, silent, empty presence. Pure unconditioned consciousness. It was here all along. It's what everything is arising in and dissolving back into. The way I unveil it, the way I disidentify from illusions to come back to the peace that is the truth of what everything and everyone is with me, is the end of grievance, the end of seeking, the end of doing. What would be here if I just let it all be exactly as it is? The world, body, the sensations, the thoughts, the feelings, the memories. What would be here in this moment if I let all that be exactly as it is? If everything was forgiven, if everything was just allowed to be exactly as it is right now, what would be here? The unthinkable, the unspeakable, what you are, and what everyone is with you already. You just got lost in thoughts. You thought you were a clown. Okay. You needed forgiveness, which leads to the miracle. And the miracle shows me I'm choosing. There's a mad circus of thoughts and emotions there, a wild illusion, frantic and distraught going on. And when I let it be exactly as it is, it facilitates the miracle. And the miracle is me realizing, my God, that's just a bunch of thoughts in my mind. I can identify with that, but equally, I can choose not to identify with it. That's the miracle. The miracle doesn't choose. That's the holy instant. The holy instant is where you let go. Into what's here if you don't get involved with those thoughts. The awake, aware emptiness that's everything and every. That's how we share an identity. It's what every workbook lesson is training you for. It's what every forgiveness opportunity and the miracle it facilitates is training you for. Now, what happens next is none of your business. It takes care of itself. You're not a clown. You're not a holy clown. You're not an unholy clown. What happens in the dream, that is an echo of what you are seeing yourself and everyone else as. But it happens all by itself. Thoughts always happen all by themselves. They lead to decisions then that happen all by themselves. They lead to actions that happen all by themselves. Have you any control over the thoughts coming into your mind? No, you don't. No, you don't. So who's responsible for them then? No clown. No clown. So the miracle worker needs to be in his right mind, however briefly. The course knows you're going to go back into the ego's thought world. You're going to forget that you're what thoughts are happening in, untouched by any of them, and you're going to misperceive yourself and misperceive the whole world again. The course knows you're going to do that. But the miracle is how you briefly practice exiting the whole illusion, exiting the dream, standing outside the dream, being above the battleground. And the transfer of learning is that even though you're doing that with a specific issue now, the transfer of learning is that this is what's true in everything. There is no self and other. And everything happens all by itself. There are no guilty ones and innocent ones, bad ones and good ones. There is just the truth in everything as everything. Miracle principle number one, there is no order of difficulty in miracles. One is not harder or bigger than another. They are all the same. All expressions of love are maximal. So what happens with forgiveness and the miracle is an expression of love instead of an expression of judgment or false empathy. That part happens all by itself. There is no doer of that. There's no clown. There's no order of difficulty in miracles because an illusion is an illusion is an illusion. They're all the same. All expressions of love are maximal. The forgiveness and the miracle allows you to shift your perception of everything and everyone, which allows you to shift your perception of what you are, and what you are is what everyone is. And now there's an expression of love. That's automatic. There's no clown doing that. Why in chapter 1 in the introduction, it says, therefore seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world. Perception is a result and not a cause. That is why order of difficulties and miracles is meaningless. Everything looked upon with vision is healed and holy. Nothing perceived without it means anything. And where there's no meaning, there is chaos. Perception is a result and not a cause. You're projecting what everything means so you can react to it the way you want to react to it. But it doesn't mean anything. It's only for forgiveness. That's why there's no order of difficulty in miracles. It's just changing your perception, changing your perception of everything and everyone. That's what a miracle is. Perception is a result and not a cause. That's why order of difficulty in miracles is meaningless. In every instance, all you're doing is changing your perception. Everything looked upon with vision is healed and holy. What's vision? A looking that doesn't judge what it's looking at. Nothing perceived without it means anything. Oh, this is broken and it needs to be fixed. That's chaos. Oh, this is sick and it needs to be healed. That's chaos. Oh, my brother is in an awful state and he needs to be fixed. That's chaos. Everything right now is healed and holy. The minute the clown wants to go in there and fix things, be the holy ego, the miracle worker, that's the doer, the fixer, the holy one that did this, that, and the other, you've gone back to sleep. Everything is healed and holy now when you see it without judgment. It's healed and holy now, not when a body changes, not when behavior changes, not when the clown does different holy things. Everything's healed and holy now. Any belief to the contrary is chaos. That's why in miracle principles number two, forgiveness as such, miracles as such do not matter. The only thing that matters is their source, which is far beyond evaluation. Oneness, shared identity, non-duality. It doesn't matter what happens in the dream. Don't get distracted by that. That's not what this is about. This is about shifting your perception of everything and everyone and yourself. Don't get bamboozled by being the holy doer. Don't do that. This is about learning what you are, the stated goal of the course. Know thyself. There is nothing else to seek. The reason for this course is you do not know what you are. Don't get sucked into the doing, the holy doing, the fixing, the illusion, the rearranging, the idols. Don't get sucked into that. Because that's the spiritualized ego, the clown. The doing will take care of itself. It's already written. All you have to do is decide what you are. All you have to do is share an identity. That's all. The doing takes care of itself. It's automatic. It's always automatic. There is no clown. So, the Song of Prayer, Part 3, Introduction, Paragraph 1. Prayer has both aids and witnesses, which make the steep ascent more gentle and more sure, easing the pain and the fear, and offering the comfort and the promise of hope. So we covered this in the last podcast, what prayer is. From illusion, we could say it's joining, but of course that can't be true because there's no such thing as separation. So we could say prayer is stepping outside the illusion that there's separateness anywhere. So again, we can call it joining, that's not ultimately true. It's realizing everything is one. And all you have to do is stop identifying with thoughts. Stop referencing a past and future for who you are. Look at your brother without a single judgment on him or attempt to change him. And what you are will tell you of itself because it's already here. It's what all the mad thoughts are happening in, untouched by any of them. That's what you are. Prayer. Forgiveness. So forgiveness is witness and an aid to prayer. A giver of assurance of success in ultimate attainment of the goal is healing. Its importance should not be too strongly emphasized. For healing is a sign or symbol of forgiveness' strength, and only an effect or shadow of a change of mind about the goal of prayer. Oh, but how the clown loves to hear miracle stories. Oh, how the clown loves to tell its own miracle stories. Jesus told me this, Jesus told me that, and I followed guidance, and I did this, and I did the holy things. Oh, how quickly we pass over these important statements in the Course in Miracles. Prayer is what's important, which is oneness, which is joining. The means is forgiveness. And an echo, a shadow is the doing. A shadow, because this is a dream. A shadow is the doing. If there's a change in bodily symptoms, that's a shadow. That's not what this is about. That's not important. That's not important. Acknowledge it, but that's not what's important. If you've remembered what you are and you share that with everyone, now you're not going to go around going, look at the holy things I did. Oh, look at I listened to guidance. Look what I did. If you're really holy like I am, you could do holy things too. No, that's the clown. The shadow, the effect, that's automatic. If you shift your mind from fear to love, from separateness to oneness, from thought identification to the awareness that everyone is, thoughts, decisions, and actions, that's automatic. You don't need a new book to tell you how to do things. You don't need to attack Kenneth Wapnick to say, oh, Ken didn't talk enough about the things you do in the world. Ken didn't believe in clowns either. It happens all by itself. There's no clown doing anything. Know what you are and share an identity with your brothers, and everything happens all by itself. Of course, isn't wrong because it doesn't have a new book on how to do the holy things as the clown. Ken's not wrong because he's not teaching you how to be a holy ego miracle worker. The sole responsibility of the miracle worker is to accept the atonement for himself. I am not a separate self. And what I am is what everyone is because there are no separate selves. That's your sole responsibility because now thoughts, decisions, and actions will take care of themselves. All you have to do is accept the atonement for yourself. That's it. And everything else happens all by itself. All you have to do is shift your perception of everything and everyone By seeing it without judgment, you remember what you are as pure consciousness, ultimately pure knowledge, pure awareness, but let's say consciousness for now. And the consciousness that you are is the consciousness that's appearing as everything and everyone. And everything that comes from here, this sharing of an identity, will be loving and caring and guided and helpful. And there's no clown that's holy because he did it. There's no clown that's better off because he read a different book that told him how to do it because the course didn't. There's no clown that's a holier course teacher than Ken Wapnick because he's all about the doing. There's no clown. The sole responsibility of the miracle worker is to remember what he is. And the way you do that is by letting everything and everyone be exactly as they are. And what you are tells you of itself. And it's what everything and everyone is. And now thoughts, decisions, and actions, they happen all by themselves and they don't matter. This is what matters. Prayer, achieved through forgiveness, unity. The rest takes care of itself. There's no clown. Prayer has both aids and weaknesses, which make the steep ascent more gentle and more sure, easing the pain of fear and offering the comfort and the promises of hope. Forgiveness is witness and an aid to prayer, a giver of assurance of success and ultimate attainment of the goal is healing. Whatever it is, whatever the doing is, whatever the changes are, its importance should not be too strongly emphasized. Don't sit around telling miracle stories. Don't sit around listening to miracle stories. For healing is a sign or symbol of forgiveness is strength and only an effect or shadow of a change of mind about the goal of prayer. Healing is the shadow. Doing is the shadow, the echo. You want the song. The song is what you are, that everyone is with you. Chapter 9. We know these ones. Chapter 9, Section 4, Paragraph 1. Accept as true only what your brother is, if you would know yourself. He's not a clown. Neither are you. The same awareness that's appearing as him is appearing as the body, thoughts, feelings, stories, and memories you call you. Accept as true only what your brother is if you would know yourself. Perceive what he is not, and you cannot know what you are because you see him falsely. Remember always that your identity is shared and that its sharing is its reality. Over and over again, you need to practice specifics with forgiveness for the miracle to remember this and share this and let behavior take care of itself from it until there is the transfer of learning, until you don't forget, until you're incapable of seeing your brother as something different than what you are. That's the transfer of learning. Earlier, I said this course will teach you how to remember what you are. Because you don't know what you are. You think you're a clown. You think you're a thinker and a decider and a doer. No, you're not. You are that in which thinking, deciding, and doing is happening all by itself. Will teach you how to remember what you are, restoring to you your identity. We have already learned that this identity is shared. The miracle becomes the means of sharing it. By supplying your identity wherever it is not recognized, you will recognize it. the unthinkable, the unspeakable, the awake, empty, nothing, which is everything. Chapter 30, Section 8, Paragraph 2. Your brother has a changelessness in him beyond appearance and deception, both. The awake nothing. That is everything. That's what's changeless. Your brother is that within which the whole world is unfolding, out of which it's made, into which it'll return, by which it's known. The same thing you are. Your brother has a changelessness in him beyond appearance and deception both. It is obscured by changing views of him that you perceive as his reality. That's your thoughts. Happy dream about him takes the form of the appearance of his perfect health, his perfect freedom from all forms of lack and safety, from disaster of all kinds. Here's where you see all the distortions where people think it's talking about changing your brother's body, changing his circumstances. No, it's not. It's about seeing who he is that nothing can touch, the changelessness. The miracle, which is the shifting of your perspective, your perception of everything and everyone and yourself. Miracle is proof he is not bound by loss or suffering in any form. How could he be? How could you not be bound by something and then your brother is bound by something? How could you be healthy and your brother sick if you're the same self? It can't. It can't. Because there's no clowns. No clowns being born, no clowns being sick, no clowns dying, no clowns that are the holy clowns, and no clowns that are the unholy clowns. There's no clowns. There's just the light of the world. There's just the awake emptiness that's everything, which is what you are. Only your identification with thoughts is veiling it from you. When you meet anyone, remember it's a holy encounter. This is chapter 8, section 3, paragraph 4. As you see him, you will see yourself. As you treat him, you will treat yourself. As you think of him, you will think of yourself. Never forget this. For in him, you will find yourself or lose yourself. Whenever two sons of God meet, they are given another chance at salvation. What salvation? What I am, that's untouchable. And what my brother is with me. Do not leave anyone without giving salvation to him and receiving it yourself. Every miracle is acknowledging salvation's here. It's done. You're not what's happening in the mind. You're not the wild illusion mind, frantic and distraught. You're what it's happening in, made out of, and what it'll dissolve back into. The peace of God. Everything and everyone is this with you, or it's not the peace. Okay, bear with me and we'll do 4 more quotes. When peace comes at last to those who wrestle with temptation and fight against the giving in to sin, this would be the clown. When the light comes at last to the mind given to contemplation, or when the goal is finally achieved by anyone, it comes with just one happy realization. I need to do nothing. Here is the ultimate release, which everyone will one day find in his own way, at his own time. You do not need this time. The only decision in every moment is, what am I? Because what you are, when you see a forgiven world, when you let all things be exactly as they are, what you are is what everything and everyone is with you. And now behavior will take care of itself as an echo, but there's no doer of it. You don't have to worry about it. There's no you to do it. It will just happen. Thoughts, decisions, actions will happen all by themselves like they always have. You don't have to believe you're a clown. You just have to remember what you are by seeing the world and your brothers without judgment. What would be here in this moment if I let all things be exactly as they are? You first have to see the world without judgment because what you are can't judge. The awake emptiness, the pure awareness, the unconditioned consciousness, it can't judge, can only allow. You must see your brother without trying to change your brother, to remember what you are. And now what's here is what your brother is with you. It's not two. And now decision will follow from thought and lead to this to doing. That happens all by itself. It's not important. It's not important. You don't need a new course teacher to tell you how to do that as a clown. You don't need a different book than A Course in Miracles to tell you how to do that because it happens all by itself. If you're in there trying to do it, you've misunderstood everything. There's no doer. I need do nothing. It takes care of itself. There's no doer. If you want to be a doer, you've misunderstood everything. That's the clown wanting to take the bow. Okay. Chapter 2, Section 6, Paragraph 2. The truth is that you are responsible for what you think because it is only at this level that you can exercise choice. What you do comes from what you think. You cannot separate yourself from the truth by giving autonomy to behavior. Now, the next line. This is controlled by me, the right mind. Call it Holy Spirit. Call it Jesus. Call it your right mind itself. This is controlled by me automatically as soon as you place what you think under my guidance. There's no separate self clown that does behavior. Behavior is automatic based on shared identity, facilitated by forgiveness and the miracle. There is no clown there to be holy over it or unholy over it. Chapter 2, Section 6, Paragraph 3. You must change your mind, what you identify as, not your behavior. And this is a matter of willingness. You do not need guidance except at the mind level. Your perception of what everything and everyone and yourself is. Correction belongs only at the level where change is possible. Change does not mean anything at the symptom level where it cannot work. Chapter 4, Section 4, Paragraph 2. I have said that you cannot change your mind by changing your behavior. But I have also said in many times that you can change your mind. Right. What say ye? Would anyone like to ask a question? If you would, you can raise your hand and my lovely assistant, Linda, will send you an invite to take yourself off mute. Raul Gonzalez. So, Linda, there you go, Raul.
Hi, Keith. Can you hear me?
I can indeed.
Okay.
You get my
Um,
email, Raul?
I did. Thank you
Good
very
stuff.
much.
That's good, good,
Looking
good.
forward to talking to you.
No problem.
Um,
What's
may
the question?
I have two questions. May I post these in the chat?
Well, your internet's good today. Would you rather do that on account of language or something, or?
Kind of. Yeah.
Okay. So that's fine. If you post that in the chat, I'll have a read of it.
Thank you.
Just be quick because we may not have any more questions.
Okay. I'm
Um,
gonna paste it on there right now.
all right, cool. Thanks, Raoul. I'll
Thank
check that
you.
out. Would
Okay.
anyone like to rescue the dead air and ask a question in the meantime, or make an observation, or now is your opportunity? Reluctant. Mary Ann in the Grand Canyon. Um,
Hi,
there
hi,
you go.
Keith. Okay, so it was all about um, undoing, not doing anything. I love that. Um, so in again, any of our grievances or issues that we have with a situation or people, do we just focus on forgiveness and trust that our intuition and the Holy Spirit would guide us to right action? Or do we just let things
Well, let's say this,
stay as they
right
are in the
action.
silence? Yeah.
You see, right action is an expression of love. That's it. That's what the Course was telling us today. Let's dig out the quote. Miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. The real miracle is the love that inspires them. In this sense, everything that comes from love is a miracle. So, right action is an expression of shared identity, forgiveness, and love, instead of separate identity, judgment, trying to change, opposing. You see? So, all we're doing is shifting a perspective from fear to love, from separateness to shared identity. But what happens at the behavioral level, that's only an echo. Because the question almost presupposes that that's the important part. It's not. It's not. When you're saying, but I really need something to change so I can be peaceful, that's an illusion.
Mhm.
That's a lie. That's not true. The peace is established by letting all things be exactly as they are. The only thing that can hurt you is a grievance. And the only thing that can save you is forgiveness. So, can there ever be a problem with anything if you don't think about it, Marianne?
No,
So, are things and situations the problem, or are your thoughts the problem?
it's definitely the thoughts.
That's why there's no hierarchy of illusions, because the world is fine exactly as it is. The only problem is the thoughts that you're identifying with, and the answer is the miracle facilitated by forgiveness. If the only thing that's upsetting you is your thoughts about the world, great. What would be here in this moment if I forgive? What would be here right now if I let everyone and everything be exactly as it is?
Peace.
Yeah, and you didn't need anything to change. Peace is here now. You don't need to do anything. There's nothing to be done. There's nothing to ask for. Anything you would have asked for was because you thought it would bring you peace, but it wouldn't. Only forgiveness will bring you peace. Now forgiveness has established the goal, the prayer of the heart, peace, happiness. That's already here. So now spirit can move the body towards a decision and action. Now that it doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter. Insight is here automatically. I know the obvious thing to decide. I know the obvious thing to do. Only reason I was unsure, because I thought it mattered. I thought it was important. I thought the doing was the important. I thought I needed something to change in the illusion to be peaceful. No, you didn't. You needed to remember what you are by letting all things be exactly as they are. That peace is already here. There's nothing to need. There's nothing to want. There's nothing to do. And now it's obvious what the loving thing to do is. But not so you can get peace. That's already here. There's no attachment to outcomes. When there's no attachment to outcomes, the obvious thing is obvious. And the thoughts are automatic, and the decision's automatic, and the doing is automatic. No clown there to take a bow. Does that make sense, Marianne?
It does, yeah. Thank you.
Super. Thanks a million. So I will go to Chrissy before I circle back to Raoul. So Chrissy, go for it. My lovely assistant. There you go. You're off mute.
Hi, I'm just trying to figure out my picture here. Sorry.
Well, don't worry about that. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, so this is hard to ask. Okay.
Let me just say, first of all, Raoul, I've taken the chat. I've made the chat available there now. That should be available to you. So go ahead. Sorry, Chrissy.
Okay. So in the story that is part of my past, let's just put it that way. I know it's not true, but I have gone through addiction, some heavy addiction, from which I've essentially recovered from a lot of it. I suffer with smoking, and it's killing me. And that's my dream. That's what I'm dreaming. And there's a part of me that is like kind of waking, because I'm not identifying anymore. Or not, shouldn't say anymore, but I'm not identifying the way the world wants me to identify with this. And I don't see a reduction in any behaviors or anything like that. But I'm not identifying with addict anymore, or smoker anymore, or those things. And I'm noticing that even though the behaviors continue with the cigarettes, my feelings around it that are appearing are changing. I'm not in self-loathing as I was.
Now, just something to, so that's wonderful, because the only thing we want is peace.
That's all I want is peace.
True forgiveness. Yeah. And because, yeah, but the only way to have peace is through letting all things be exactly as they are and discovering what's here. What is the truth of you when you let all things be exactly as they are? When there's no fight with anything, when there's no seeking, when there's no doing. It's discovering what you are in this moment. But you don't know what it is unless it's the truth of everyone else with you.
I'm at a point where I'm like, I ask that question a lot, or that question comes to me. I don't even know that I asked, but that comes to me a lot, like an echo.
Yeah, but
so what would happen if this, right? And that's very peaceful. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's like, I don't have to react to this. I don't have to hate myself for this. I don't have to feel guilty. That's not why I'm feeling.
Yeah. Now, can I just stop you there for a second? Because there's just one little thing I want to fine tune with you, because that's great, but there's just one thing I want to fine tune with you. First of all, that's peaceful. No, what you are is peaceful.
Okay.
Peace is not an emotion. Peace does not come and go like anger or jealousy or spite or hatred. It does not come and go. Peace is never absent, because peace is one
I'm
of
having
the
like an echo of peace. I'm experiencing echoes of peace, not peace, because I
No,
still feel when these feelings appear, I still feel an element of terror. Or I'm not saying feeling. I don't see. I like to correct my vocabulary too, and I don't even know that that's necessary, but it's part. But I still feel an element of terror when I do try to sit with certain things.
yeah, but you see, what you need to understand is you are that within which everything is happening. Fear is arising in you, known by you. But the one who is in terror is the clown,
Yes,
the non-existent clown.
I
Instead,
believe that. Sorry.
instead, when we're right-minded, fear is here. And I let it be exactly as it is, without a story about it. Fear is here. That's that's a perceptual fact in the dream. Fear is here. But the ownership of the fear, that produces the imaginary clown that's fearful. No. Remember, you are what all thought, emotion, feeling, story, memory arises in. And the piece of that is known the minute you let all things be exactly as they are, the minute you don't judge. So
Keith,
fear is here. Can it be here without a story? I am fearful is a story.
I know.
I am fearful because is a story. So that's
Is it a
wrong-mindedness.
story or is it habit to talk like that? Is it a habit?
No, the miracle is how you let things be without a story. So your habit is that you have it, the ego has a story about everything.
Yes.
The things that have caused it, the me that's feeling it, the innocent victim, they're all stories. The fact is, fear is here. Can I just let it be exactly as it is without a story? Can I forgive it? That brings you home to what you are when all things are allowed to be exactly as they are.
Thank you, Keith. I really appreciate this topic today.
No
It's just
problem.
happening.
Thanks,
It's
Chrissy.
just so
Thanks for
beautiful.
contributing.
I love the way things work out. Thank you.
Cheers. All right,
Next.
let me have a read of Raoul's. Keith, thank you for the talk and making my readings understandable. Forgive me, but I'm having a problem ingesting this. I don't understand how to practice identity sharing. You have to stop identifying with thoughts. Who are you without a story? What are you if the story in your mind about what you are is not true? What are you if the world can be exactly as it is and all your brothers can be exactly as they are and you don't need a story about it? Lesson 8 says, the one holy true thought we can hold about the past is it's not here. So, what are you without any stories from the past or stories from the future? What is here in this moment? What are you if you stop asking thoughts what you are? If you stop believing what thoughts tell you you are? What is here that a thought can't touch? What is the holy place where thoughts can enter not? What's here in this moment if you stop the fight and the seeking and the pushing and the pulling and the wanting and the needing and the judging and the hating and the trying to understand? What are you when that stops? What's here when that stops? What's here is the quiet center that's everywhere, the changeless dwelling place, the stately calm that's everywhere. Everything else is your thoughts. The way you share an identity is you disidentify from thoughts and stories. How do I do that? You let all things be exactly as they are. The fight stops. The seeking stops. The trying to understand stops. All that is thoughts. What's here when that stops? What's here when I let all things be exactly as they are? Pure awareness. What is the space in which all your thoughts are happening? That's what you are, and it's what everyone is. The thoughts are irrelevant. They're an illusion. They don't mean anything. I've been thinking about separating from my spouse for the last 2 years, no matter my tone, phrasing it, or content. I anger my spouse when I bring things to her attention. Yeah, everyone gets angered when someone brings things to their attention. What's kept me in the relationship? Using my spouse as my teacher in getting better at not being reactive. Every single spouse will teach you that. Don't think there's good ones and bad ones. Don't think there's easy relationships and hard relationships. It's the same. You'll bring your same projections into every relationship. It seems the only time I can be successful is when I am disinterested and disengaged from the relationship. Now that's the ego's apathy. No. So that's the ego's approach. The ego is not in a relationship to express love. The ego is in a relationship to get, cannibalize, to have its imaginary needs and wants met by an other, by a separate self that has something that I don't have that will cure how awful I feel about myself. That's the special relationship. The holy relationship is shared identity. What I am outside of thoughts is what my partner is, and all is well. And because my partner is what I am, I don't need anything from them. Because this is the full emptiness. This is wholeness. This is unbounded freedom. Knowing what I am, which is what everyone is with me. That which forgiveness and the miracle unveils. That which was here all along. What all the thoughts and feelings and madness is happening in. Perfect peace, within which it all arises and dissolves, and the peace is totally unaffected. The whole thought world happens in a thoughtless world. The whole dream of death arises in perfect peace and deathlessness. I honestly don't like how this feels. Okay, the only thing we got to feel is our own guilt. Because the world isn't doing anything to you, and the world is never, ever causing you emotions. Nothing I see means anything at all. I'm given everything I see, all the meaning it has for me. The only purpose the world has is to show you what's already in you that you're trying to project onto the world. That is the right-minded purpose for the world. There's nothing in the world. There's no cause in the world. The world doesn't cause you to feel anything. That's the illusion. Whatever's coming up in you as the movie plays was already in you, and it's trying to project onto the world and go, look what you did to me. But the world didn't do anything to you. The world is your savior. Your partner is your savior. She's showing you what was already in you, not causing it. And will you meet it in yourself without the stories? Without the story that my spouse did it to me, and without the story that it's bad, this stuff in my mind. Without the story of the innocent victim that's feeling it. What's here? Is it hopelessness? Can I welcome this without the stories? And without owning it, without being the clown going, oh, I'm so hopeless. You're not hopeless. You're the light of the world. But can you welcome hopelessness without a story about it to remember that? Sadness is here. Great. Can I welcome it without a story about it? Without the story about the world that did it to me, without the story of the innocent victim of it, without the story that the sadness is bad. Can I just welcome it? Can I let it be exactly as it is? Because if I do, that allows me to meet the capital S self. Because it was only ever hidden by stories. I also have intense dreams that reflect the intimacy missing in our relationship, which causes me to doubt if the practice of using my spouse as a teacher is a lost cause. Only the ego has needs. Does awareness have needs? Is there anything missing in awareness? See, this is I have needs and I am a male self and you are a female self. And I'm a particular type of male self, and you're a particular type of female self, and I'm different than the rest of the world, and you're different than the rest of the world, and I need you to meet my needs. But awareness doesn't have any needs. Only an ego has needs. So the ego doesn't want to love. The ego wants to get. The ego feels broke. The me, the imaginary me, the clown, the self you made that's not the Son of God, made of thoughts, identification with thoughts, the penguin. Penguin has needs, but there's no penguin. It's just thoughts. You are already whole and complete. And the wholeness and completeness that you are is everywhere. Everything else is thoughts. You have no needs. Only when you only the person you imagine yourself to be suffers. Only the person you imagine yourself to be has needs. Only the person you imagine yourself to be needs to use other people to feel better about itself instead of extending love and wholeness to them. So we can work on this together during our time, but the self that needs protection is not real. The self that has needs is not real. The self that does holy things is not real. The self that did unholy things is not real. You are real. You are what all those thoughts are happening in, ever untouched by them. The pure, changeless awareness that is the truth of everything and everyone with you. That is what's true. And when we come home to the truth of what we are, we're not looking for anything off anyone. There's nothing left to seek, nothing left to ask for. This is the wholeness. This is the peace I thought idols would give me. This is the peace I thought that money and success and sex and power and control and stability and security and family, this is the peace I thought all those things would give me, and none of them gave it to me. Forgiveness gives it to me, letting all things be exactly as they are. That brings me home to the truth. And the truth that's here is the truth that's everywhere. which is the extension of love. And what happens on the behavioral level is an echo. But it's the song. It's the song you want, not the echoes. The only thing to pray for is to realize there's nothing to pray for. That salvation's done. That salvation's here. And the means to it is forgiveness. Letting all things be exactly as they are. Not opposing all things and seeing how can I change them. Forgiveness gives me everything that I want. Thanks, Raoul. So, John, you will be our last question for today. So my lovely assistant will send you an invite. Take yourself off mute. There you go.
Thank you, Keith, not Kevin. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Don't worry. That happens a lot.
I haven't been here for God months. Well, I apologize to myself. Every time, a lot of times I come to this after the fact, after you've done it, and I get the YouTube thing, And I'll tell you, every time I do, I'm goofy in the head. Sometimes I call that doinkiness, whatever. It's like what you're talking about is like an oasis. It really is. It just eases my mind because
Yeah.
it's so frickin' simple.
It's so simple. Thank you. It is. It is the simplest thing in the world. The mind loves to complicate this. It's like, what's my forgiveness formula? How do I fix it? I shouldn't be thinking like this, and this is bad, and how do I turn it into something else? And what do I do to be a holy ego? And the mind complicates, but it's very simple. What would be here in this moment if I didn't oppose the mind? What would
Yeah,
be
so
here?
this,
Yeah. What would be here if I didn't oppose feelings? What would be here if I didn't oppose the world? What would be here if I didn't oppose sensations? What would be here if the fight stopped? Forgiveness is unbelievably powerful. Forgiveness is still and it quietly does nothing. It offends no aspect of reality. Not the world, not sensations, not thoughts, not feelings, not stories, not memories. Forgiveness is still and it quietly does nothing. It offends no aspect of reality, nor does it seek to twist anything to appearances it likes. It merely looks and it waits and it judges nothing. What would be here if nothing was opposed? Nothing was sought, nothing was fought against, nothing was pushed away, nothing was grasped at. What if I just let it all be exactly as it is in this moment? What would be here?
can I allow things, well, as opposed to making things happen, just let them happen, so to speak. Can I just be and have trust that everything will work out, that there'll be finance, this romance or whatever, that things will work out, that I won't be on the streets, because that's the fear, the worst possible situation.
Yeah, John, that's no. You see, this is where we go way off kilter, right? If
Mhm.
what you're asking for is the peace that will be here if you're well looked after, that's not the peace of God. You want the peace that'll be here when they're nailing the body to the cross. You want the peace that'll be here if the body loses everything. You want the peace that will be here if you end up in prison for the rest of your life for something you didn't do.
Mhm.
You want the peace the world can't touch. Don't settle for anything other than that. When when you know the peace that will be here, living on a mansion or on the streets, when you know the peace that'll be here, whether you're single or in a relationship, when you know the peace that will be here, whether you're loved or reviled, you don't need anything from the world. You're free. You're free. You're cooked. You're done.
Like a
You've
fork in me.
reached, you've reached the end of learning. All right, you've reached the goal.
Is that my responsibility? Just to,
To have the peace of God is your responsibility. The
yeah,
only
it's
thing that
already
will
there.
the only thing that will give it to you is total forgiveness of whatever happens. Not manipulating it, John. Not manipulating it. That will never give it to you. That seek and do not find. That's an illusory piece that never comes. That's the carrot, the plastic carrot the ego dangles in front of the clown's horse.
Mm.
The piece that'll be here if I manipulate the illusion, it will never come. Some of the manipulations will work, some of them won't. None of them will bring you peace. The only
You know,
peace you have, the
what's
only
crossing my
peace,
mind. I'm
go
sorry,
on,
go
go ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
What's crossing my mind right now? I don't know why. It's
Yeah, but
like,
never believe anything that's crossing your mind, John. Tell me
what
whatever's crossing your mind. Tell me about what it's happening in.
is happening then?
Yeah.
Well, what was crossing my mind was like,
No, I know
stand
that's
up.
kind of irrelevant. No, that's irrelevant. That thing that's crossing your mind is a thought. What is the thought happening in? Tell me about that.
My consciousness.
It's another thought. Tell me about what the thought is happening in.
In my wrong mind as a thought too. So I don't know.
Wrong mind is just an identification with thoughts. Tell me about what the thoughts are happening in. Tell me about what's untouched by the thoughts.
Like I
I mean,
said, consciousness, awareness. Just
those are words. Let me try it this way. So that thing that's crossing your mind that was so hypnotic that like it straight away you identified with and took it seriously and believed it. Is that thought you, or are you what was aware of that thought arising?
the latter. Yeah, the awareness.
Okay. And you were that awareness before that thought arrived.
Exactly.
And when that thought falls away as nothing, you're still here as awareness.
Mm.
Tell me about that awareness. Tell me about
Well,
what's prior to thoughts, and that thought cannot change. Tell me about the changelessness.
peace. It's just peace.
Yeah, that's
That's,
already here.
yeah, I know. It's just
It's
like
never absent. And all you have to do is catch when you believe thoughts. That's it.
can I just say one thing? I've this has been obsessive for me, being criticized or judged and
Yeah.
taking it personally. I say, come
Okay.
on, man.
But outside of thoughts, can you find the one who hates being criticized?
Outside of thoughts.
Can you find the clown?
The clown wants approval. It's the clown.
That's a thought. That's a thought. That's a thought. But can you find the clown? Can you find the one who wants approval outside of thoughts?
No, mm,
Does awareness want approval?
no way. Doesn't need it.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. See, the one who wants approval is just another thought. I want approval is a thought, and the I it refers to is an illusion. There is no I that needs approval. You are what everything is happening in, and it has no needs. They're just thoughts. They're just believed thoughts. I can be hurt by nothing but my thoughts. Salvation can be seen as nothing more than the escape from concepts. Now,
Mm.
having said that, the greatest fear of the ego, the imaginary separate self, the one made of thoughts, called identification with thoughts, the greatest terror of the ego is being wrong.
Shots right on it.
Okay, so It's the greatest terror of the to the ego being wrong is death.
Mhm. Yeah.
All fear is the fear
The
of
need,
losing false self.
the need to be right is the fear of being wrong. I
Yes,
think.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you see, this comes back to when consciousness seemed like it's separated from knowledge, from oneness. It's split into the ego and the Holy Spirit. The belief in separateness, in self and other, and the memory of oneness. You see? So consciousness chooses the ego, the thought that there is self and other, there is separation, there is sin, guilt, and fear. And it buries the Holy Spirit, the memory of the truth. Because the ego needs to be right. Because once consciousness identifies with the ego thought system, it becomes the thought system. It thinks it is the ego. It's not, but now it thinks it is because it's identified with the thought of separateness. Okay. And now it knows, well, there's that like Holy Spirit memory. If that's true, what I think I am doesn't exist. I have to be right and the Holy Spirit has to be wrong. I have to
Mm.
be right and the course has to be wrong. Okay.
Okay.
Because otherwise, there's no clown. No, there's not. But when you think you're the clown, it becomes very important that you're right, the clown, and that the Holy Spirit is wrong, that God is wrong. So that was the original need to be right. When consciousness chose the ego, thought it was an ego through identification, and now the Holy Spirit is the greatest enemy.
Mm.
It's like I need to be right and the Holy Spirit needs to be wrong. So the whole world is just this war with God, with the Holy Spirit projected out. So within the world, within all the dreams of me, within the one awareness that's here and that's everything, every single me is terrified of being wrong. Because if the me is wrong, it doesn't exist. So every time someone criticizes us, puts us down, spreads rumors about us, tries to control us, this ontological terror of being wrong comes up and we react badly to it. So you're not alone in that, John.
You're wrong or guilty or however you want to word it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And sometimes you
the,
can think of them, that's their problem. They're projecting their stuff onto you sometimes. So
well,
their own.
that's true, but there's still not this you're still identifying as a you that can be upset or not.
Yeah, I got to bring it back to me.
Yeah. So in other words, but does any of that matter to awareness?
No.
See, it only matters to the clown, but there's no clown. Does that make
Illusion.
sense?
Yeah, I just have one more question, if you don't
Hmm.
mind. Okay, and last time I was here, I think I mentioned the name of Bashar. Are you aware of that?
Now, don't ask me to comment on teachers because that's my rule. I don't badmouth anyone on the show, or I don't directly contradict specific teachers. Hold that one for another day and ask me a question that doesn't reference a teacher. Is that all right, John?
Okay. Yeah.
Cheers. Thanks a million.
Thanks so
Um,
much.
pleasure. Guys, thanks so much for your attention. As usual, we've ran a bit over. Um, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We will catch up in the Facebook group during the week, and we shall do it all again next week. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thank you. Appreciate it.